Hello, Sonder fam. Welcome to our Sunday evening weekly setup. If I have not been a host for you before, my name is Bailey Grady, and I am dialing in from Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is just north of Nashville. If you are new to socials, or this is your first one in a while, or maybe your first or second one, definitely let us know. I saw we've got a few people that usually do a different time or they haven't been here in a bit, and so they're back. So welcome back. But if you're brand new, we would definitely like to welcome you. There is an amazing group of people here tonight that are definitely a part of our regular attendees. So good to see all of you in the chat, or, see all of you. We don't actually get to see you, but you know what I mean. We get to see your names pop up, and it's always nice to spend time together. Speaking of the chat, oh, great, Shoshana, second time, welcome. Oh, and Susan as well. Look at that. Awesome. Welcome. Speaking of the chat, if you haven't already, double check that where you're typing your responses and everything, there should be a little like drop down box above that little chat window. Make sure that that is set to everyone. If it's set to host and panelists, not everyone will be able to see what you're saying. And one of the best things about a Sonder Social is not just being able to have the opportunity to carve out time for yourself, but you also have the option to be in community with a fellow Sonder fam. And that is something that's really special about social time. So if you want to share in the chat, definitely make sure it's set to everyone so we can all see what you're having to share. If it's set to host and panelists, it will only come to myself and Katie, who is my sidekick tonight. She'll be hanging out with the chat with you all and helping with anything that she's able to help with, helping to keep me on track as well. So if you need to say something to just her or I, then the host of panelist option works for that. But if you want to share with the group, just make sure it's set to everyone. Also, as we go through, this meeting is recorded, including like what's being presented up on the screen. The chat is not recorded, so just what I am saying up on the screen and the slides. So if you do need to come back at some point, if you show up a little late, if we get into a prompt and you need a little bit more time, anything like that, the recording will be available on YouTube in usually about a day or so. They're getting them loaded pretty quick now. So you can always go back and watch, but you're also welcome to take, pictures or screenshots as we go through. And then if you want to take pictures of what you end up doing in your journal, we would love to see those in Sonder Club if you would like to share those. Or if you are a social media person, if you want to post those and tag Silk and Sonder, I know they would love to check those out as well. So go through our community guidelines real quick. So first and foremost, please be kind and courteous to yourself and to others. No promotions or spam, please. We respect everyone's privacy here, and we do not allow any hate speech or bullying. I do not think we'd be a very great community if we did. Also, we try to limit repetitive product and accessory questions. We don't mind a little bit of chatter, but this is like the fastest hour in the land, so we try to stay focused on what we're doing here. If there's anything that Katie or myself cannot assist with, we will redirect you over to the headquarters team at hello@silkandsonder.com, and they should be able to help with anything that Katie or I cannot assist with. And then finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, which is all of you. But you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. And said another way, we just want this time to be exactly what you need it to be. If you need to step out for a minute, if you need to, spend time just with yourself in your journal tonight, if you need to dive into the chat and really hang with the Sonder fam tonight, we just want you to spend this time doing whatever it is that you need. And sometimes when we are digging into prompts and things, there can be some unexpected emotions or aha moments that come up. Sometimes I call them the crunchy feelings. And, a little bit of crunchy can be good. And if you're ready to tackle something, we are ready to support you through that. But crunchy can also feel a little like stepping on a Lego with your bare foot, and that is not so fun. So if it feels more like a Lego and you need to come back to it later, that is totally fine. But if it feels like a good crunchy and something you want to sit with, we're here to support and encourage you. So we will be doing our flow mind map prompt, and then we're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection before we get into our weekly setup pages. So let's get started. So flow. Flow is our new theme this month, and I think I have done two other socials this month, and it seems like this is definitely an interesting theme where this word can kind of sit with people in a lot of different ways and resonate for a lot of different things, which can be really great from an individual perspective, but it can be challenging when we're all trying to unpack it and work it together because it can mean something very different to two people. So for me personally, I like these two quotes I found about flow. So first, flow is being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. The ego falls away, time flies, every action, movement, and thought follows inevitably from the previous one, like playing jazz. And then I really like this one from Jay-Z that says, don't ever go with the flow, be the flow. And we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get into our mind map prompt today. But for me personally, that Jay-Z quote is very important for flow. The other thing about flow is when you think about diving into something and time melting away and being in the moment with that thing, I know for me personally, I was like, so is it the same as like meditation or like mindfulness? And the answer is no, not typically. I found this graphic that kind of helps to differentiate between the two, and I found it really helpful as someone with anxiety. Control can be a really prominent figure in my brain, and sometimes it tries to overcomplicate things. So sometimes having this kind of breakdown of what something is can help me to kind of wrap my mind around it. So according to this flow state, some of the things you're looking for is an intense focus on a specific activity or task, feels automatic, effortless, and instinctive. There's like a low awareness level to it where you're just sort of completely in a loss of self-awareness because you're just so captivated doing the thing. You're performing a task with high skill and engagement, absorbing, immersive, and often exhilarating experience, and then high productivity, satisfaction, and enjoyment is your outcome. With that said, I think something that's getting a lot of us stuck is what we consider to be productivity, right? I think that we think, oh, productivity has to be, I finished this huge project that I've been putting off, or like, oh, I put away the 4 baskets of laundry that I've been putting off for a month. No, just me. That's just a me thing. No. I definitely do that. So, or it's like, oh, my goal has been to consistently walk every day. So, in order to be in my flow state, I'm going to not just hit that goal, but I'm going to exceed it and I'm going to forego everything else to do this thing. And that's not true. You know, at an individual level, productivity is not about just doing more tasks or staying busy. It actually refers to making progress and achieving your intended goals, and that can be anything, because anything can be a goal. Rest can be a goal. Leisure can be a goal. Play can be a goal, right? So I think in order to embrace flow, we have to kind of reconsider what it means to be productive by allowing ourselves to actually chase after things that we love and enjoy with intention. So if you're an avid reader, I think reading can absolutely be a flow activity. If you're one of our mini Sonder fam members that is working on a book or writing a book, I think writing is definitely a flow activity, right? There's a lot of things that can put you in that state of flow, but it shouldn't feel like you're forcing yourself into something. It should be something that you find enjoyable. The idea is that you're so immersed in it that you lose track of time and it's filling up a different part of like your energy sector, right? So I don't know if that helps or not. Hopefully it does. With that, we're going to move into our mind map activity. For those of you that are new, the mind map activity is something that is unique to our weekly socials. And it basically just means that we're going to take a look at a prompt related to our theme together that is not already pre-printed in your journal. So that means that for this one, you're going to want to flip to a blank page in your journal. I usually just do the very last page of the journal because it's easy to flip back to. Or you could just find a little blank corner or blank space anywhere or use a separate notebook, whatever works for you. But we are going to take a look at activity this week, and we'll have one every single week for this theme. And then once we move into a new month and we have a new theme, we'll have new questions. So this week's question on flow, or on week 2, is if I stopped swimming against the current for one day, what would I allow myself to experience instead? Our week 1 prompt is up there on the screen as well. If you missed week 1, you can come back to this later and do that week 1, or you can just start from number 2. You do not have to do them all. Nobody's going to come over to your house and be like, oh, you only did one mind map prompt this month. There is no journal police, so it's fine to just start with this one. Or if you really want to go back and do the other ones, you totally can. You can even pull up the recording of the previous social on YouTube and flow through it that way. Haha, flow through it that way. See what I did? So for this prompt, if I stop swimming against the current for one day, what would allow myself to experience instead? For me, I think a helpful way to frame this is to consider the current a part of you. So not if I stop swimming against the current, like other people's expectations or opinions or whatever, but your inner current. If you stopped fighting yourself, right? Because we all have those things that like we're trying to do habit wise, or we're trying to start, incorporating into our days, or things that we think that we want to do, right? And it just feels like we're pulling teeth, we're dragging ourselves along. It's not in flow with what we want or what we want to do, right? It's something that we think we have to do, or we've been told we have to do, or maybe it is something that is actually important, but for whatever reason, it just feels like a struggle. So for me, I think framing this as stop swimming against your inner current might be helpful. That's the way that I took it. So what I ended up writing was that for me, the current was myself. And if I'm swimming against the current of someone else, that could actually be a good thing, right? Like, don't go with the flow, be the flow, as that quote at the beginning that I shared said. But I don't want to swim against my current and my goals and my purpose, right? The things that fill my life up with joy. I don't want to push back against those or resist them. And recently, I've made some changes in my life that kind of align my long-term goals and plans with what I truly want my days to look and feel like, not what anyone else wants for me, or even what a previous version of myself might have wanted, but what me, as the person I've become, really wants. And what I've felt and experienced is such an immense relief from these changes. Like, suddenly it just feels like my heart and my mind and my body are all in agreement and they're all in respect with one another. Like, my brain isn't like steamrolling over my body anymore, or vice versa. And as a result, a lot of anxiety that I typically experienced on a day-to-day basis has greatly decreased. So I think that this is a really great prompt to kind of sit with and dig in and figure out, where is that inner resistance? Is there something that is a part of your inner current that you're fighting against currently, and why, and what would it feel like to stop? And is there another path forward? Is there something else you could do? Could you give permission to yourself to just think about this for one day, doing something a little bit differently? Or if nothing comes to mind that you're swimming against currently, what is something in the past that you stopped fighting, and how has that turned out for the better now? So with that said, I'm going to put on some music for you all, and I'll hop back and forth between these slides up on the screen. If you feel comfortable sharing what's coming up for you, we would love to see it in the chat. But I'll give you a few minutes and then we will move on to our next activity together. Okay, thank you all for spending time with this prompt. I'm glad that some of the things we kind of chatted about has like created some aha moments for some of you of like, oh, I have been sort of putting this into a box because I've been relating it to productivity, and kind of like these to-dos and things rather than like these more fun things, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be something that everyone considers fun, right? I know I really enjoy working in a good spreadsheet. Some people don't. Right? I personally do not lose track of time when I'm cleaning. I love a clean house, but I hate cleaning the whole time. I can't wait for it to be over. But I know some of you find like a zen in that process, right? It's like you just kind of get in the groove and like it's something you can do to de-stress, right? So it definitely means different things for different people. But also, again, it can mean some of those things that are traditionally more fun, more creative, more leisure activities, because leisure can certainly be a goal. And if something can be a goal, which anything can, then you can also have productivity around it. So hopefully this helps a little bit with those of us that have been struggling around this theme. I know I was struggling with it a little bit too, so I've been right there with you. All right, we're gonna now hop into our rosebud thorn exercise, and this is something that we do each week as a weekly reflection on the last 7 days before we hop in to the next 7 days and start planning ahead. Kind of a way for us to say goodbye to the last week before we transition into the new week with a little bit of balance and perspective. So first, we'd like you to think about the last 7 days and find a rose, something that went well, something that made you smile. Sometimes the rose is literally that you made it to the end of the week. Sometimes it is a bird singing outside your window. It doesn't have to be something big and crazy, but if it is something big and exciting, we would love for you to share that too so we can celebrate with you. A bud is what could bloom, something that's on the horizon. Maybe you're excited about it, nervous about it, a little bit of both, something that's up ahead. And then the thorn is going to be what didn't go well, something that was challenging or stressful that maybe you could use a little bit of support on. So for me, I like to do these in reverse. So my thorn is that a little over a week ago, my mom had some back surgery, and the surgery went fine. Everything went great with the surgery, but the recovery was not as advertised. She was sort of under the impression that she'd stay a night or two in the hospital and then she'd be able to go home and go on about her life. And the reality was that she ended up staying with us for over a week, which we were happy to have her. I was actually a lot less stressed having her here with us than I would have, I think, been if she had gone home. So it was nice to kind of have her here and be able to support her. But it was really tough for her, obviously, because it just isn't what she was expecting for things to go. There was a lot of pain and just surprises and things like that that she wasn't prepared for. So that was the thorn. Also, I love my mother, but we're very, very different people. So even though I was happy to have her home, I'm not going to lie to you all that there wasn't some friction in shared space here. With that said, my bud is that her recovery is now progressing well. She is up and moving. We actually took her back to her house today to kind of do a trial stay on her own and make sure everything goes well. She doesn't live too terribly far from us, so if she needs to come back here, we can go and run and get her. But she needed to have that time to make sure that her house is set up the way that she needs it to be for her continued recovery. So things are going well, and hopefully they continue to go well. That's my bud. And then my rose is just, even though all of this craziness and unexpected things happened, our friends and family and community definitely showed up in a big way. My Sonder fellow facilitators, like jumped in to cover some things that I was going to handle because I ended up having to unexpectedly be with my mom a little bit longer. I had a friend that was able to step up and like take my mom's dog and keep her for an extended period of time. All of our neighbors have been really great and supportive. So it's just been nice to feel that presence of community in something that was so unexpected. So with that said, that's my rosebud and thorn. I'm going to put on some music for you all to think about your rosebuds and thorns. And if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat, I would love to see them. This is one of my favorite things about the weekly setup because it really gives us a glimpse into a little corner of each other's lives. Thank you all for sharing your rose, buds, and thorns in the chat. We are now hopping into our main event here. And before we dive in, I want to invite you all to take a minute and just take a quick peek over last week's setup. If you haven't already, maybe you have. If you haven't, take a second and just ask yourself, like, based on last week, what are some things that are really working for me and what maybe isn't working for me? And this is probably a good idea to start doing each and every week before you dive into your next weekly setup, just taking a little pause and saying, like, hey, this worked for me and this didn't, so that you kind of can go into this knowing what you want to repeat versus maybe what needs a little bit of tweak. So while you're looking over that, these are my 2 pages. We are setting up pages 40 and 41 in the journal today. So these are the 2 pages here together, but we will be diving into each one of these sections as a group. And we're going to start, oh, sorry, I forgot about this. The Silk and Sonder Instagram page posts some really fun stuff, and they posted this June 30 Days of Flow calendar. So if you haven't seen this, ta-da, here it is. But if you are doing this, we are here on this week. There are some different prompts for each day there on the calendar that are a fun thing to do that you may or may not want to incorporate into your setup this week. And if you're able to grab a screenshot, great. If not, again, don't worry, this is recorded, or you can hop onto the Silk and Sonder Instagram page and grab it there because that's where I got it from. So with that said, we're going to dive into each one of these sections, but you can decide to pick kind of a vibe for your pages and carry that theme all the way through if you want to. So for example, this person chose soft, and then they kind of tiered, their weekly major 3 goals to soft things to go with that. They decided to look at their top 3 and consider the soft feeling that they wanted to feel when setting that up. Habits and activities, meal plan, everything kind of started with how they want to feel and then flowed through from there. I don't know, both, either, whichever one of those phrases is right. I was gonna say, I think that might be Kimberly's. So good job, Kimberly. I love it. I love a good theme, and I love a good theme carried all the way through. But you can decide to set a theme and carry that all the way through, or you can just take each section at a time. It's really about what works for you. And sometimes you don't know what works for you unless you try something. So every single week here is a brand new start. So don't be afraid to try something new, because guess what? In 7 days, you get to do it again. And if it didn't work, you can do something else. So in the This Week I Want to Feel section at the top right of page 40, this is where you want to think about how you want to feel as you move through your week this week, or how you want to feel this same time next week, whichever one sounds better for you, or you can do something different. For me, I like to incorporate my word of the year here. My word of the year is cultivate. And so this week I want to cultivate care and patience. And then there's some other kind of inspirational idea words there over to the right for you to take a look at. And I also have all of these fun ideas from all of you in Sonder Club. You can see that you can decide to, be long in your description of how you want to feel. You can just pick a single word. You can do a sticker. Again, whatever sparks joy or good, happy feelings inside of you that is going to carry you through the week. With that said, you can also come back to this a little bit later. Sometimes this is actually like one of the last things I fill in. And I think it's just because sometimes I have to kind of wrap my head around my week before I can figure out how I want to feel at the end of it. So whatever works for you, don't be afraid to give that a try. I'll put on a quick song for you, and then we'll move into the next section. All right, now we are going to hop down to the center section of that same page here, taking a look at the weekly to-dos and weekly major 3 goals. For my to-dos, I definitely utilize the little calendar that's provided there to write out, and then I use the to-do section to write out my actual like appointments, commitments, and reminders. One of my reminders is that it's Maya's birthday later this week, so if you happen to see Maya at a social this week, definitely wish her a happy birthday. And then for my weekly major 3, I actually don't set goals. I actually use the 3 affirmations that the Silk and Sonder coach delivers to me on a weekly basis, and just write the affirmations there. For me, putting goals here didn't really work. I was putting stuff here, but they never really motivated me. So the affirmations have worked a lot better. But you can do, again, a variety of things here. You can decide to just focus on, the goals section and skip the to-dos, or vice versa. Definitely take what you need. You can pair things up. Like you can decide to focus on different categories in your to-dos and then in your goals, and then align your to-dos to those, kind of like you see there on the right-hand side of the screen. Or you can literally switch things around. Some people like to put the to-dos over on the weekly 3 section because they just like having those grid lines for their to-dos, and then they'll do something else over in the actual to-dos section. Here are some more examples for you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you've got a lot going on, or you're feeling like you keep writing the same things on your to-dos over and over again, maybe take a second and look at this Eisenhower decision matrix graphic and the Pomodoro technique graphic. Those things can be good for kind of organizing what's actually a to-do versus what's maybe a would like to do, but is realistically not going to get done right now. And then the Pomodoro technique can help you kind of tackle some of those things that are lingering. You can use this for reminders, actual to-dos, appointments. You could do a ta-da list where you leave it blank, and then as you do things, you write them down. It kind of feels a little bit different in your body, because then at the end of the week, you're like, oh, look at all the things I did. You could switch out of productivity if you are focused a little too much on the productivity side of our goal here, and switch to a to be, or a want, a hope, a need list. You can change your to-dos into a different kind of bingo. You can focus on routines in these sections. You could put stickers here. Again, I always say if a sticker makes you smile, then it's serving a purpose. So don't be afraid to stick it anywhere in your journal. You could switch this up with like a letter to yourself or quotes. Again, you could try different areas of focus in that major 3 section. You can support how you want to feel, like we looked at the beginning. Like me, you could consider doing some affirmations here or some other form of self-care. And of course, you can do actual goals, commitments, and accountability. Or again, don't be afraid to switch it up, move things around, do something totally different in these sections. If you're trying to lean into flow and have a little bit more fun with it, maybe you want to try listing out some movies or TV shows you want to conquer. Maybe if you watch an entire season of something, that's being productive. It can be, depending on what your goal is, right? You could do self-care jars, quotes, mantras, lyrics, reflections, 3 fun activities, doodles, whatever you need this space to be. So I will hop back through these slides for you while I put some music on, and then we'll move into our next section together. we're going to hop down to the bottom center of our page, looking at the habit and activity section. I like this little graphic over on the right that shows, this is progress where there's significant quick improvement. This is also progress where there's slow and steady improvement. And so is this at the bottom there where it's a little bit chaotic, but overall you're doing more and there is consistency. For me, I've been using this as like an audio fuel tracker is what I'm tracking it as. My mood tracker is actually a replenishment tracker, and one of the things for me is the audio fuel. So I like to kind of keep up with like what audiobooks I'm listening to and what like things on the radio and if I'm doing podcasts and that sort of thing. So that's what I've been using this section for. But you could use this to set goals or intentions, and as you do that, you can decide if you want to actually set a set amount of like times you want to do it throughout a week, like a hard and fast goal, or if you just want to track it as it happens. You do not have to fill in every line that is here. You can just do a few, or if you need some more, you could definitely squeeze a few more lines in there. I like the example here in the center where they sort of reminded themselves that this is just data. I always like to say that this is the data of you, right? And data isn't good or bad, it just is. So as you're tracking something, it's not always about like winning or doing the thing as much as it is just getting some insight about what's working, what's not, and how often you're actually achieving a desired behavior, or how often you're doing a not so desired behavior, right? You could use this to try to kind of break some habits as well. You can try a reward system. So maybe you set a goal and then at the end, you tell yourself what you'll reward yourself with if you accomplish it. You can plan activities for specific days during the week. And you can also plan time to rest, which I always think is very, very important. You can try focusing on activities over habits. If you're like, I really do my habits in the monthly page, I don't need more habits over here. Maybe you lean into those activities, right? Or if you set up your monthly habit tracker as a lot of productivity related things that are more traditional productivity, maybe you start using this section for some of those more fun and, specific to you productivity things that work for flow for you. You could track something to welcome in summer. It's just around the corner. Use this with connection with others, your pets, yourself. Mark journal progress. This can be a good place to remind yourself to check on those trackers and those other pages. And also, if you use personalized coaching with Silk and Sonder, this can be a good place to track what you're doing in there as well. So I will hop back through these. I will put on a song and then we'll move into our next activity. It's almost like, exactly what I said before. Okay, it's time to flip the page. And so we are now on page 41, starting with the section titled Meal Plan. Now you can certainly use this as a meal plan or a meal tracker, is that if that is going to help you with your goals and intentions. However, this does take up a lot of space and real estate in your journal, and the layout works for so many things. And so that's why it gets repurposed quite a bit, is just because it's a really great layout for a lot of different tracking and different activities, and it does take up half a page in your journal every week. So for me, I use this for my work meetings. It really helps me to kind of balance out my schedule, forces me to take a look at things ahead of time and make sure that I don't get double booked. With that said, again, there's a lot of ways that people repurpose this section. Some people do use it for meal planning or meal tracking, and if that's going to work for you, this is a great space to do that. But we also have folks that use this for affirmations. They use it for tracking happy moments or glimmers or a daily rose. People use it to do some mindfulness. They add in quotes that they like. They try to set an intention or a feeling for their day. Or they can use this for other kinds of health tracking. This person kind of split the columns down the middle here, and on this side they're tracking fruits and veggies, and on this side they're tracking their yoga and stretching. I know some of you have been using this space for doodles. I love doodles. I'm obsessed with them. I think that they are almost as personal as handwriting, and they are so, so special. So if you're a doodle person, I would love for you to use this for doodles, and I would love to see what you're doodling in Sonder Club. You can set out some specific journal prompts for yourself, or you can put your to-dos over here. Some people put their to-do list over here because then it lets them break it out for each day, which is also nice and handy. So you know the drill. I'm going to throw on a song and then we'll move into our next sections. All right, hopping into our last few sections here, we have the Mind Body Health Plan in the top right and then the shopping list. I like to combine these two together when we do our setups because these also get changed up a lot, and I think they get changed up for a lot of like very similar things. Like sometimes people don't repurpose Mind Body Health, they repurpose shopping, or they repurpose shopping and not Mind Body Health, but what they're repurposing the spaces to is so similar. For me, I started using the Mind Body Health as a little reflection on the quote each week because I've always liked those quotes, and so it gives me a little space to do a little thought journaling there about the quote each week, and I've really enjoyed it. My shopping list gets repurposed to my big to-dos. These are like my lingering, like kind of larger like project to do things that like I'm definitely not doing this week or intending to do, but I have to write them out every week or I literally may forget that they exist. That's just my ADHD. It's the way that it works. So that works for me. For you, you could repurpose this section for quotes, packing lists, words of the day, or Wordle, other games like that, mindfulness activities, your routines, focusing on our theme of flow, a cleaning chart, mini bingo boards, reach out lists for friends and family, drawings or doodles, or again, reflecting on that weekly quote. You can see some examples of how people have leaned into the theme and made different kinds of bingo boards and repurposed this section, as well as some examples of how they are kind of leaning into their mind body health plan or leaning into their shopping list and things like that. I saw an example, I can't remember if I included it in here or not, but it was like a no shopping list too of like things to not impulse buy and that sort of thing, which I think is also a good idea. But you can see where people are deciding to focus on mind body health, trying to come up with themes for each day of the week that kind of motivate them through the week, which is also good for mindfulness. Doing appointments and things here, tracking some different stuff. And again, when in doubt, don't be afraid to stick the stickers. If it makes you smile, it's serving a purpose. So let the sticker fill its sticker destiny and be stuck on the page. So once again, I will put on a short song for us all, and then believe it or not, it'll be time for us to close out together. It always goes by so fast. All right, my friends, if you can believe it, that's going to close out our time together. As we are wrapping up here, if you would like to share one thing that you are loving, this is the final bottom right corner of this journal page. But I kind of like to do it either at the beginning of the week, but sometimes also at the end of the week, or just when the moment sparks for me. So if that's you and you're not ready to write something here, that's okay. Just share with us in the chat one thing that you're loving right now as we close out our time together. Thank you so much for spending this time with yourself, with your journal, and also in community with all of us today. We love spending time with you, and we also love seeing your pages in Sonder Club. All of the examples that you see or saw, I guess I should say, today up on the screen came straight from Sonder Club. So we love to see those and love to get actual examples for your journals if you feel comfortable sharing. If you have not tried the Silk and Sonder coach yet, they are doing this kind of free little sign up where you can try out sort of this different little version and share your feedback with them. I use my coach each and every week as a part of my weekly setup, and I also love that I can text it when needed to kind of sort out some things. So Katie will pop some things into the chat, like links and stuff, if you want to take a look at that. Also, this week, June 16th, it's in like 2 days. Mayha is doing the mid-year reset. This was super popular last year, and this year it's free. So if you have some friends, invite them to join you virtually, right? Kind of have like a virtual girls' night together. Or I guess it doesn't have to be a girls' night. Everyone is welcome. It doesn't have to exclusively be a gal pal, right? Have a virtual friend night together and kind of get reset for the mid-year. Mayha always does an amazing job with these things. And then after the mid-year reset, they're going to do this 7-day clarity reset challenge as well. It starts on June 16th, so kind of same day as the reset. Again, Katie will pop some links in the chat for that so that you can also check that out. I will share my playlist. I have kind of 3 just massive playlists that I pull things from for all of my socials. So, but I'll be happy to share those links in the chat. It just will take me a second to grab the different links as we close out our time together. And again, thank you all so much for being here. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. We hope that you find whatever works for you in terms of your flow. And until next time, be good to each other, and we'll see you all in Sonder Club. Bye.